As of the last agricultural census, there are about 1.5 million acres of land in the United States that are devoted to the production of certified organic row crops such as corn, soy, alfalfa, and barley. About 6,500 farms were counted in this survey, with about 500 of those in Iowa. During the summer of 2018, I traveled to northwest Iowa and visited the farm my father grew up on. My uncle Gary Otto, along with my cousin Travis and Anna Laura, have about 150 acres in organic row crop production on the family farm and also on a couple other fields in the area. My father and I were able to spend a day with Gary and Travis while they baled hay, which will eventually make its way to an organic buyer such as the dairy cooperative Organic Valley. My goal in this video is to give a glimpse into the perspective of row crop farmers who have decided to give up conventional practices and turn to organic production. The day we visited the farm, Gary and Travis were haying the field that they rent about 7 miles north of the home farm. This field has been transitioned to organic production after it spent 10 years as a wildlife refuge. Over the last few years, they have been growing alfalfa and barley on the field to suppress the persistent weeds left from the naturalization. We will talk with Travis as Gary runs the baler through the field, packing the mown hay into 700-pound square bales. After their day in the field, we headed back to the house and sat down with Gary, Allura, and Travis to chat about their experiences transitioning to organic farming.
I like driving tractors, I like baling hay, I like hearing the birds sing, start of a summer's day, I'm happy on the farm. I'm happy on the farm. I'm happy on the farm. I'm happy on the farm.
Alright, so this field, let's see, we used to rent it a long time ago, probably 15 years ago I would say, and we farmed it conventionally. And after we stopped farming it, the landlord put it into CRP for 10 years.
What's CRP?
Conservation Reserve Program. And so this was native grasses and wildlife habitat for 10 years. And the contract was up, so we got offered to farm it, and the people, they have a garden over there on the north end of the area,
Yep.
and they didn't want anybody farming it because of chemical drift.
Right.
And then we went back and told them that we were going to farm it organically, and they were like, oh, okay, this actually is certified now. So it takes 3 years from the last chemical application to be certified, and the landlord, he'd spot sprayed a few patches of thistles throughout the time, so we couldn't certify it right away. But anyway, they'll send someone out and they'll review all of your paperwork, and then they actually go out and look at your fields and see you're not lying about anything, and make sure there's no red flags being raised.
Cool.
And they're pretty thorough. They don't usually leave too many stones unturned.
You guys do some conventional, don't you, or no?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
We used to do a field a couple miles north of here, conventional. When we started doing this organically, then we decided to just do it all organic.
Right.
So what about your grandpa's farm?
That's the one that we just...
You don't farm that? Somebody else does?
We still farm it, but that's when we started farming organically.
Dug myself a fire pit out on my front lawn. I got me a machine shed, 1894 barn. Field mice keep my cat dead. Prairie is my yard. I'm happy on the farm. I'm happy on the farm.
about how you guys got into organic and why.
That's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
Considered it at one time and got scared out because we went to a seminar and this gal said if I get oil on my tires and drive out in the field, we'll lose our certification on the whole field.
Right.
Which, is pretty radical. It's not. I mean, there has to be rules. But,
Right.
But that turned me off for a long time.
Right.
But then we always did ban chemicals and use as little as possible.
Right.
And then we started doing this 1 year program with soybeans for Pioneer at the time. No chemical for 1 year.
Right.
And that went fairly good.
Mm-hmm.
And then we did some tofu beans.
Wasn't that those?
That-
We did
yeah,
them
that was,
first.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And at first it was for Pioneer, then it was for North Country Seed in Ormsby, Minnesota.
When was that?
You did Ormsby, Minnesota with the tofu beans first before you did Pioneer. So that's 20 years ago.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
that worked okay. And what really gave me the confidence to do it was when I worked for this plant in Arroyo, which is an organic processing plant.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy that owned the place, we worked together pretty close because I was doing projects for him and stuff. And he took me up to his farm up by Hartley, about 20 miles north. And it didn't look too bad. And he hired all the work done,
Right.
And when you hire work, it's not going to be,
Right.
exactly what you want. So I figured, well, if it works for him, I think
Right.
we can make it
And
work.
what did they process there?
Soybeans,
Soybeans.
basically.
And flax.
They did flax for a
Flax,
while. That's what I was helping get ready for.
But right before you worked for American Natural Soy in Cherokee, I was working at a place called Pride Group, and there was a minister who would come Sunday nights to minister our clients. And he also was an organic farmer. And so we went to his home one time and visited with him, and
Mm-hmm.
he also helped us get inspired as well.
So anyway, we decided to give it a try. So we made the decision to transition all 5 of our fields at the same time. A lot of times they recommend doing one field and the next
Right.
one. But we wanted to get into it as soon as possible because we weren't young chickens and
Right.
spring chickens anymore.
Right.
And it seemed to work okay until the second year. I think we were going to get one of our fields, all of our fields, certified next
yeah.
year. And the guy we were getting litter from stopped over and said, "We got a problem." And there was some stuff that had been added to the bedding that he hadn't really thought about. We'd signed affidavits and everything. But,
And added to the bedding, so
yeah, and it wasn't
certified.
approved.
It
Oh.
was stuff to help the
It's poultry
chicks.
litter treatment as well.
Yeah,
Oh.
Something, it
poultry
was
litter
basically
stuff.
hydrated lime, which keeps down the ammonia so that you don't get so many bug problems and stuff in the barns.
Right.
But anyway, wasn't gonna lie about it, so we told her to certify her, and we had to start all over again on our certification.
So how many years have you been certified now?
It'll be 10 years this year.
Have a seat.
Go
You're
ahead.
part of this.
Yeah, that's
No,
okay.
there's a chair right there.
10 years?
Yeah.
10
And
years.
we're on a 5-year rotation, so we're on our second, or gonna be starting our third.
Right. And what do you sell? Like, what are you raising?
Small grains and alfalfa hay and corn and soybeans.
And how much is your premium compared to conventional?
Well, it varies.
Percentage, like about.
Right now, corn is about 3.5 times what the price of
Yeah,
conventional.
I couldn't have no regs.
And beans are about probably 2.5 times.
2.5 times.
Yeah,
You pay more for your seed or less?
less.
Less.
I'm not totally convinced that GMOs are really toxic or anything like that. I'm sure they have an effect on us. But
Mm-hmm.
the only thing I can say for sure is if deer have a choice, they won't eat it.
No.
They can tell the difference. I mean,
Right.
it's graphic.
Right.
And, that to me tells me there's something in there that's not good for us.
Right. So you have that one field, right? So explain to me about that field.
Well,
So what you've seen.
Travis,
Well,
that's-
it's Travis's field, right?
Yeah.
So what's going on there?
Well, basically, it's an area where there's a high deer population,
Right.
and there's quite a bit of corn that the deer have eaten off, and it's right next to a conventional field, which is genetically modified corn,
Right.
and they won't even touch the genetically modified corn. They just go straight for the conventional, or the, what would you call it? Organic corn.
Huh. They don't touch.
And they just prefer it
Mm-hmm.
instinctively. I don't know if it's taste or what it is about, or smell, but
Right.
I'm sure probably a little bit of both. But.
Right.
And I'm kind of, as far as my views on GMOs, I don't really agree with them. I don't really think they're necessary. I mean, I think we can grow plenty of food in the world without modifying stuff. However, as far as their detriment on our health, I don't think there's been enough long-term studies done
Mm-hmm.
to actually make any definitive
Mm-hmm.
answers on what it actually does to us
Right.
and how it actually affects our health.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of speculation on what it does, and, I would tend to believe some of that, but it's not proven. It's,
Mhm.
most of it's speculative, and until it's proven, I don't want to go out and say
Right.
GMOs are, I don't want to say they cause cancer if, they don't, if it's not been proven that they cause cancer, that's not right to say. However, I don't think that we should adopt them as readily and rapidly as we do,
Mm-hmm.
without any foresight on research on their end, because stuff gets brought through that, is just straight out of the lab, something new, and it just gets brought right to market.
Right.
Like, I don't know if you've heard about the, I don't know if it's actually if it's the seed treatment or if it's in the seed, but it's called Nema Strike, I think, where they, it's supposed to kill off nematodes.
Which for organic growers is a no-no, right?
Yeah, I think that's terrible, because I mean, nematodes have a great benefit to the soil. I mean,
Right.
yeah, there are bad ones. It's just like bacteria in our body. There's
Good
lots
and
of
bad.
different
Right.
types, and you don't just want to kill it all, because that doesn't help anything.
How do you guys deal with pests?
Crop rotation
rotation.
is the biggest defender of pests that you can do, because if you just do monoculture all the time, or, well, I guess 2 crops, what would that be?
That's still a monoculture.
But you build up pests over time, and if you don't put anything else into the rotation, you're going to continue to build up those pests, and then you're going to have to deal with them in other ways.
Right.
Whereas if you can just bring in another species that the pests can't feed off of, it's the simplest solution to a huge problem.
Let me say one of the greatest things about organics is not having to sign Monsanto's 12-page agreement, which is lawyer stuff, Because when they sell those GMOs, it's a great sales gimmick. Whatever that product is, or whatever that modification
Mm-hmm.
allows that plant to sustain, they'll sell all kinds of that chemical.
Right.
It's no problem, it ain't gonna hurt the crop,
Right. And you have to abide by their regulations.
Oh yeah, if you do something wrong, they've got a lot of lawyers.
Right. Well, what about from an organic perspective? If I've heard that you can get in trouble for gene drift
For what?
Gene drift
I've heard that.
between fields,
yeah.
like if their stuff
Yeah.
gets into yours. I
That's
mean,
what
is
we're
that?
talking about the
Have
other
you
day.
guys heard about that at all? Or
Yeah, there was a guy in New Hampshire who got sued by Monsanto because he had replanted his own seed,
right,
and that seed was growing next to a field of Monsanto, whatever it was.
right.
Was that even with a field border? Or you don't
Yeah,
know?
I'm sure there would have been.
Okay.
Yeah. You guys have to have a
And he
border, right?
got, and Monsanto won,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because they got the best lawyers in the world.
Right.
That's how they operate.
Well, of course.
But now they're no longer.
I'll probably
They're under
share all
an
this.
umbrella called Bear.
Bear, that's right. It's
And
Bear
they're
that
just-
bought them
Just a case, just not too long ago, a guy won
in California.
against about Roundup.
Glyphosate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but you guys don't have to deal with any of that anymore.
Well, unless it comes across the road.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Yeah, it makes us nervous every time the neighbors go out to spray. You know, you never know what direction the
Yeah,
wind
none of us
is.
are immune from it.
Yeah, to think that anything is perfect is pretty ignorant, you know,
Right.
as far as organic systems, you know, I mean, there's still small amounts of contamination that happen that you just can't avoid.
Mm-hmm.
And if you wanted to go without that, there wouldn't be anything called organic.
Right.
So you gotta deal with, there has to be some tolerable level,
Right.
or otherwise it wouldn't exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a way, we're kind of an island because all our neighbors are conventional.
Right. Yeah. Who's the nearest organic grower to you guys?
Next county over.
How
About
many?
10 or 15 miles.
10 to 15 miles, and they're doing corn
Farther
and
than
soy.
that,
and,
isn't it?
are they?
Yeah.
Simple rotation, yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to get people to try it because it's, you know, it's not easy.
Mm-hmm.
There's lots of ways to fail.
Well, then there's the, you know, you have to do everything by organic standards and you don't get paid for it for 2.5 years. So that's a big barrier to entry.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, there's a lot of other areas that we could explore if we ever wanted to, but we keep plenty busy with just what we do.
Right.
I mean, I've thought about getting in, doing some livestock, possibly
Some chickens.
chickens,
Yeah.
maybe.
You had sheep here one time, a long time ago.
And you know, there's
It was bad. Yeah, they're just local people.
Just local high school kids
Yeah, anywhere from junior high to college.
at college, and they just
send me anybody that's willing to work.
yeah. You don't have a hard time finding people.
Oh, we've been lucky so far. Most of them are through the church
Are they?
Yeah.
Nice.
that we found. And, you know, we know their parents too, and they know us, and
Right.
so that helps.
How much do they work? Like, how long are they here for?
Oh, depends on the day.
usually about 2 months, or 2 months through the summer, and then we usually do like 4.5, 5 hours a day.
What do they do mostly?
Pull weeds. Yeah.
So that's probably the most labor. That's probably the most labor-intensive part of your job, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pulling weeds.
Pulling weeds and equipment maintenance and,
Equipment.
and you know, reconditioning and modification.
Right.
That
Right.
takes a lot of
We
time.
do a lot more equipment modifications than your typical organic farmer. We tend to build through our problems rather than buy through our problems.
And sometimes it's
different
not
strokes.
available, you know.
Yeah, a lot of times, you know, I mean, there's only so many types of pieces of equipment out there. There's a lot of innovation that hasn't happened yet in organics.
Mm-hmm. Like what?
Different types of weeding equipment. There's, you know, lots of new things that some people come up with, and some of them work, and some of them are just a joke. And
Right.
I've always kind of had a vision of like an automated weeder, but you know, I mean, we've had the technology. The
Right.
technology's been around for 10, 15 years. You know, as far as like video recognition and, you know, the speed of being able to pick out a weed and the precision of to be able to do that, but nobody's really implemented it yet. I've heard of a few companies who are trying to, or a few people who are trying to like build prototypes, but nothing's that's really materialized yet or commercialized.
Just in
I
general.
think, you know, if somebody's interested in trying organics, you know, there is some monetary reward to it,
Right.
obviously, if things go right, but you have to really want to do it,
Right.
or I don't think it would work. You know,
Right.
it'd be just too easy to say, yeah, this ain't gonna work.
So what incentives beyond monetary would they need to have?
Well, they'd have to believe in, you know, the value of what they're trying to do too, I think.
Right.
Yeah, because I've seen it happen where, you know, somebody will jump in and do a lot of acres,
Right.
and it'll just be a disaster because they just kind of jumped into it because they thought they could make a lot of money, and that's not the reason to do organics.
Right.
If you're in it for the money, it's not probably going to work.
Right.
I mean, unless they come a long way with innovation of tools, which I hope they do someday, because hopefully organics can be as easy as conventional at some point, so everybody does it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that'd be a good thing. I mean, it'd be terrible for the organic market, because then it'd be just like, there'd be no financial incentive, but,
Right.
but that's okay if,
You may not be able to do it at the same scale either.
yeah, well, if you had the right
guess,
tools, you
yeah.
probably could.
Probably could.
But hopefully it gets to that point someday where innovation will make it the norm
Mm-hmm.
and not